And welcome back to another week, another edition of the ESL Americas Open Cup number 210. I'm of course your host ZvP, and with me I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat, and this is a bit of a different kind of broadcast here because we're not casting these events live. These matches did occur a couple of days ago during the week. Unfortunately, we were otherwise preoccupied and we couldn't cover this live. So we're catching up. We can't go a week without casting all of ESL Americas and Asia and everything else. So if we ever miss out, we usually try to find some time to cover the replays, and that is today's broadcast. Again, these matches did occur on Tuesday, not mistaken. They did occur on Tuesday, so if you were there for it, if you already watched it, then no spoilers in the chat. Likewise, be careful with the bracket command. Again, the bracket command does contain spoilers. We are diving in blind. We're diving in for the first time here with ESL Open Cup Americas. And another big reason as to why I did want to dive on top of this is because we have some players that we typically don't see. The big one, as you can see before you, as that is not a best of 5. That is okay. Gonna have to fix that. Oh yeah, it's a little bit better. But yeah, we have the return of PartinG. PartinG, of course, has been taking a bit of a hiatus from StarCraft. He did step away from the game for quite some time, has recently returned, and has been competing in a couple of tournaments. He did, of course, compete in KSL, in a couple of KSLs by this point, actually, as well as ESL Open Cup Asia. So it's really cool to see PartinG actually taking place in some of these online weeklies, and he's been having some mixed results here and there. You know, his first week back, you know, he lost to Coffee. His second week back, he beat Björn in a PVT, and I think this is his third week back. So yeah, really cool to see. Really cool to see PartinG return here, and he has been steadily improving, which is impressive. It feels like he hasn't been back for that long, and he has been, you know, climbing that ladder and regaining his skill over time, and not looking too bad whatsoever. Yeah, the question becomes, you know, will he stick with it? Will he continue to compete, improve, and take part in these events, and even play the next season of GSL? That'd be pretty sick. It's still a ways off, a little bit, after I am Kidvita, of course, but yeah, it would be really cool. Would be really cool to see PartinG take part in that. Likewise, he's going to be going up against Dark. Dark, of course, recently teamless, recently did leave DragonKy Gaming, rumored to be soon entering the military, so we'll see how Dark can perform. And a big shout out to Just Jordan. Oh, Fappy. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great cast. I know you were covering the OSC season championships, so hope you had a great time covering that event, and I hope you guys had some great matches, as we are just about to start our own broadcast. We just went live, and again today we have a bit of a long one. We have three oh god, my apologies. We have three I just realized I didn't even have my camera. We have three broadcasts, three events back to back to back. We're going to be covering the ESL Open Cup Americas weekly for this week. After this, we're going to be going over the Christmas Cup round of 8, and then after that we're going to be live casting the Christmas Cup final day, the semi-finals and the finals. So a lot of StarCraft going on tonight, a lot of StarCraft. So again, hope you all enjoyed yourselves, hope you all had a great broadcast, and we're going to be diving in to our own matches here. Up first, we have Dark versus PartinG. Again, really great to see PartinG returning once again. When it comes to Dark, it would be nice to see him maybe get some more support, especially leading into I Am Katowice. We'll see if he does end up joining a team just for that event, and we'll see if we end up getting any kind of word as to when it comes to his military service and what that will be looking like. But here we go. We're diving into game number 1, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Korean Zerg player, the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing himself, currently teamless. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the returning Korean Protoss, the blue Protoss. It is PartinG. Let's go again. PartinG has been competing for almost a month at this point. It's been really great to see him return to the game, and I've mainly only seen PartinG's PVT. You know, we were able to watch him against Björn, we were able to watch him against Clem, as well as against Coffee, but I haven't been able to really glimpse his skill here in PvZ, or even in PvP, so I'm ready. I'm excited. I am excited. We do see PartinG going to be blocking that natural base, going to be forcing the unnatural natural out of Dark here at the third base location. Outside of that, though, everything is looking as it should. I'm sure Dark has been in this position many a time, is relatively comfortable here. The question becomes, what does PartinG bring out? I'm really curious, because when it comes to the Korean Protosses, they each have their own play styles, their own flair. You know, Creator, he's more of the macro-oriented player. He's very tech-heavy, very mid-game oriented. You have players like Classic and Hero who are hyper-aggressive. We see them be very kind of extravagant with how they open up Stargate into Stargate Void Ray, into Hidden Tech, into Double Stargate Phoenix, or even Charge All-Ins and Mass Oracle that Hero is fond of. They can be very chaotic, very wild. Likewise, you have Nightmare, who also kind of thrives in the mid-game. And I wonder where PartinG falls along all those other Korean Protosses when it comes to his aggressive nature or something more macro-oriented. I am curious. So here we go. Again, just a Hatchcast full opener here out of Dark. Everything looking normal, everything looking as it should. Likewise, PartinG across the map, going for a gate expand as well. Really, our eyes are on the tech of choice to see if we go for a Stargate opener or a Twilight Council. Again, we have seen Glaive Adepts tear Dark apart before, whether it's in the hands of Classic or Hero. So something like a Twilight Council wouldn't be too out of the norm here, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on PartinG. I'm expecting a Stargate. Likewise, though, I don't really know how up to date with the meta PartinG is. I imagine fairly so. I imagine. Part of me, I guess, is excited to see maybe something a little bit different, something a little bit more unique out of PartinG. We'll see. As the Overlord across the map is going to get swatted away by that Stalker. And there it is. It is indeed going to be a Twilight Council opener. Okay, so a bit of a more aggressive start here from PartinG. With this, we can go a couple of different directions. This could be something like a Glaive Adept opener if we do pull out a gas. This could be Dark Templar as well. There are charge-based all-ins, but the lane does slip in, and Dark will get eyes on the tech of choice. Very nice scout here from Dark. He's aware of the Twilight Council. He's aware he does need a faster Roach Warren as a result. He's aware he can skip out on some spores, delay them, and get ready for what comes next. We're going to be finishing off that Twilight Council. We have not pulled out a gas, by the way, which is an interesting decision, and we see why. Because we are not going Glaives, we are going Dark Templar. Okay, a DT opener here out of PartinG. Quite robust. This is not meant to be all in by any means. It's a good way to get some economic damage done, and if Dark is ready for it, if Dark does deflect these DTs, then we can of course morph them into Archons and hunt down Overlords. There's plenty more available here for PartinG, and he can of course pivot away from it. Now, something that Hero has been very fond of recently is, even if he goes for a DT opener, even if there's detection, he's so crisp with his control where he is able to just kind of camp the area in between the bases, avoid those spore crawlers, and find damage anyway. Whereas a typical player would just back off and morph in Archons, Hero actually commits to DT harass anyway and still gets damage done. It's quite impressive and quite terrifying what Hero has been able to do recently with this kind of opener. So we'll see if PartinG is similar, or if, again, he's more willing to embrace the Archon harass instead. Spore Crawler is going to be on the way. Roach Warren is done. Roach is in production as well. Of course, Dark, he is unaware as to the specific build of his opponent. Is aware that it's aggressive. It's aware that it could be Glaive Adepts, as Adepts are revealing themselves. So I love that PartinG is kind of faking this out a little bit, kind of making it look like Glaives, but we're getting safety spores regardless. So Dark, he's getting ready for any kind of scenario here. Dark Templar being warped in, and we do have detection. Spore here at the third base, Spore on the way at the natural, and no Spore in the main, but again, you have to make your way through the bases to get that far. Ooh, as we have forced recall, the Adepts are going to get picked up. One Adept goes down, the others do recall. Dark Templar are going to be forced away. And immediately we do have, a Spore on the way in the main base. Aware that DTs are headed in that direction. At the same time, a big lane counterattack. This is the downside of this opener, is that you are vulnerable to these lanes. SimCity is looking good, but the Adepts are going to get surrounded. At the same time, the Prism is zoned away from the main base. We force a cancel. It's going to be a cancel on the Nexus. There are DTs to help deal with these lings, but again, we do contain PartinG to 2 bases, and we double down. We throw down 3 more gates. Did I say 3? 4 more gates. It's going to be 6 gates. It's going to be 5 gates in total, as we already have, my apologies, 3 gateways already done. So yeah, 6 gates. 6 gates here from PartinG. Likewise, behind this, we have the Forge for +1. And this is what we spoke about, actually, about how even if the DTs are deflected initially, even Hero's been doing this quite frequently, where you just find damage done anyway with these DTs. You gain value regardless. Picking off tumors, marauding between the bases. Meanwhile, Lings once again do get eyes on the third base. They do confirm that there is an expansion. Oh! Detection is available, DT goes down, and we're looking for another cancel. We're looking for it, but we shouldn't get it as reinforcements do rock up and Lings are swatted away. Meanwhile, across the map, once again, DTs are trying to find more pickoffs here and there, but one Dark Templar goes down. Oh, the Prism taking a lot of damage. PartinG has to calm down, Poppy, calm down. Has to retreat, has to back up. Likewise, behind this, we're just getting fully saturated on our 3 bases. Dark will be joining up to 60, soon to be 66. Ooh, is a bit supply blocked. We'll have to break free. 4th base on the way, but we have Dark Templar going to be threatening that 4th. And we'll get a couple of swipes in, and where is the detection? It is a little bit delayed, and we force to cancel. Big pick off here from PartinG. Likewise, across the map, Overseer dives in, getting eyes on all the gateways. Getting eyes on the follow-up. It is going to be a robotic space. We're getting into Colossi, into eventually Disruptors, potentially. For PartinG. Good control as well. He already does have Blink. He's shaving off some of those Lings. And at the same time, trying to deny that hatchery. Oh! Oh, DTs, they do so much damage. But one Dark Templar goes down. And we should be able to get the other. Stalkers once again threatening that main army. Dark is going to be able to hold on. He does end up holding on to that 4th base as well. +1 melee on the way. PartinG just being such a nuisance here, getting so much damage done on this base. No shot. Up. One more volley. But he's so close. It looks like he will force another cancel. Just containing Dark to 3 bases perpetually here. Likewise, PartinG is catching up. He even has a better economy than Dark. He's caught up on bases, he's ahead in probes, he could even take a faster 4th at this point. We can see Dark working on a macro hatch just now, finishing it up, and yeah, his economy is quite stifled actually. This is concerning. Dark going to be taking up, working towards the Infestation Pit. Bold move here out of Dark, but he is correctly reading the situation. He's assuming that PartinG is going to be a little bit more tech heavy, which he is, and that PartinG would take a 4th base. So Dark getting ready for a Hive transition to, I imagine, get into Lurker tech. Vipers at least. We'll keep our eye on him. Otherwise, not quite connecting. Dark going to pull back. The 4th base still on the way. I wouldn't be opposed to a double expand here either from Dark just to catch up, just because of how late this base is. Nice contamination here on that forge. We'll delay those upgrades. The Colossus count getting higher and higher. We are still at 1 Colossus, soon to be 2. Meanwhile, Dark committing to Ling, Bane, Roach Ravager. A pretty robust mid-game composition. Infestation Pit is done. We should soon be seeing that Hive. The armies are going to be clashing here in the center of the map. Getting a Stalker. Pretty good pick off. Meanwhile, the 4th base, I believe, has been spotted by Dark. He's going to be distracting the main army at the same time. A massive Ling Bane counterattack here on the right-hand side. Now, there's not much to kill here at the 4th base, so we could just go straight for the 3rd. There it is. Hive is on the way. We do see PartinG gaining ground. Sniping that Overseer. And again, as we're distracting the army, Ling Bane rolling on in, but again, the base is still not done. Now we're bottling it. I mean, we're going to crash into the sack defense. At least we could force a cancel. Pylon's going to be going down. We get a surround on the base itself. Baneling's rolling in. At the same time, we're coming in from the left-hand side, but we are in position. PartinG, he shuts down the Banelings, forces back the main army, but he will lose that 4th. I'm sure Dark was hoping for more damage, but denying the 4th, pretty good. Pretty good here as he's getting his own 4th up and running, but the drone count is still not looking ideal here for Dark. 61 drones. Just now getting up to 67. Hive is on the way for eventually, I imagine, that Viper tech. But PartinG has a pretty intense army here. Looking at the army supply, looking at the composition, we have 3 Colossi, 9 Sentries as well. Force fields are going to be key here when it comes to pushing in. It's a lot of Ravagers, though. There's a lot of Ravagers. Dark just now maxing out. PartinG, the force field's looking good. Oh my god. We just cut off the army, and we swipe away the Lings. A lot of Lings go down, and some of the Roach Ravager as well. Okay, good pickoffs. Ravagers are going to be falling, and Dark, he's going to be committing. Once again, the force field slowed down the army. So many Lings go down. That was 83 Lings for 6 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. A very efficient trade here for PartinG. Now Dark is remaxing once again. Ravagers getting picked up. Without them, we cannot deal with the force fields. We have a handful of force fields left. Reinforcements from behind. Dark coming in for the surround. The boys are being pulled. The Roach Ravager getting stuck on each other. Getting stuck behind the force fields. And it looks like we can maybe get on top of one of those Colossi, but what about the Stalkers? The Colossi, they live! They barely do live. One of them goes down. The 13 drones fell, and PartinG is breaking on through. Again, he's all in behind this. There's no 4th base, there's no additional upgrades, no additional tech. But 3 Colossi is all he needs. GG gets called, and PartinG will break through and will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. PartinG, I think what was most impressive here is, again, with his opener, again, very hero-esque, where he was able to do so much damage with his initial DTs. Not just that, but with his Stalkers as well. And Dark, it just took him so long to get his 4th base. And fun fact, even when he got his 4th base up and running, he never saturated it. It took him a very long time to drone up past 60 or past 63 drones to get into even 3 base saturation. So even though Dark, he was able to deny the 4th base, which did occur. Remember, he lost a lot of Banelings in the process, and he didn't have any to defend. And you may think, like, Banelings, they're not ideal against Colossus, and not ideal against Stalkers. That's true, but they do help against Sentries. They do help in general when it comes to these big engagements. If some Banelings can make their way through, and if the Sentries go down, suddenly you have a much easier time defending. Like, the Sentries, the Force Fields, those are like the MVP in that final fight for PartinG. Despite being down in supply, he was able to pull it off, able to break through. And Dark just didn't have a lot of time to remax either. It was just kind of trickling in and falling apart. And yeah, really impressive. Very impressive stuff there out of PartinG. Dark, he had his moments. Definitely he had his moments when it came to his own counterattacks and his own Ling run-bys as well. But PartinG, he was achieving quite a lot there. So it was a bit insane. GG. GG, well played. And from here, we're going to be getting into game number 2. PartinG is going to be leading the series 1-0. We're going to be loading in to Site Delta. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg. It is Dark. Down in this series, looking to fight back, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player. The blue Protoss, it is PartinG. The returning player. And achieving quite a lot. And sure, his 3rd base may have been delayed. That is true. But still, he achieved so much with those Dark Templar. So much with those Stalkers. I think what's interesting is that I just realized... I was talking about how, like, you know, DT Harass was doing a lot. He actually never morphed in any Archons. Period. Like, it just never happened. Which is interesting to me because, again, that's typically been the role of the Dark Templar and the role of the Dark Shrine Opener for many years. For many years, it's like, okay, you start off with the DTs. If there's detection, you back off, you morph in the Archons, and you gain map control, and you hunt down Overlords, you harass the mineral lines. That's kind of been the meta, the go-to. But recently, as of maybe a month or so ago, we have seen players really explore and really make use of those Dark Templar a little bit more, and actually, yeah, not really embrace the Archon as much. It's been interesting to see that kind of that playstyle rise in popularity, and players explore that a little bit more with success. Let's see how they with quite a bit of success. Of course, you do have to babysit them more. Like, I do agree with that. The fact that DTs are very fragile, and if you do get caught out, if you do kind of stray too close to spores or detection in general, then you'll be losing them very quickly. So you do have to babysit them a lot more, as opposed to the Archon. So it is really cool to see. Meanwhile, across the map, we do have PartinG being a bit of an annoyance here as we lose the probe, but we have, yeah, we do end up losing the worker here. Not the biggest of deals. Now, this does mean that, I was going to say that Dark could skip his Lings, but we already have those Lings in production. 3rd base should soon be on the way. We can get into that a lot easier without the probe there to delay us. And PartinG is opting to go for Stargate. I appreciate this. I appreciate that he is not like a one-trick pony. I know that especially when a lot of players, they recently come back to the game, they focus on like one build for like each matchup, and they try to focus on that to kind of regain their skill and to get back into it. Stats was kind of like that, where when he returned, like he was kind of doing the same thing just to make sure he gets, you know, his mechanics and everything back up and running. But PartinG, he is going to be diversifying a little bit more. We're going for a Stargate opener. Now with this should be an Oracle into triple Oracle production to a third base, but because it's PartinG, I kind of want to see a Void Ray or even a Phoenix, just to shut down any kind of vision. And there it is, a Void Ray is on the way. Again, Classic is very fond of this opener to kind of flip things a little bit, where game one we saw something that a little bit more successful from another Korean Protoss. But Classic is he's so fond of going Void Ray first, like every single PvZ, or I would say not every single, like maybe 90% of the time, Classic would open up Void Ray, would shut down Overlords, and will go for a hidden tech. And it could be anything behind this. It's so difficult for the Zerg player to keep up. We could go double Stargate Void Ray, or double Stargate into Fleet Beacon, into Carrier Production, into Tempest. We could go for a Twilight Council into Glaive Adepts. We could go for a Twilight Council into Blink without a Forge, and go for a Blink Stalker based all-in. There's kind of a lot on the table. And what do we go for? There it is! It is a hidden Twilight Council. Now, typically I would say this should be Glaive Adepts. This should be Glaives from PartinG, and that would traditionally be what this is. What I will say is that Hero has actually been very fond of, instead of going Glaives here, he would actually go for Blink and go for like a pseudo 3-base all-in. Hero, he's the only player that I've seen do that, but I'm curious if maybe PartinG has been watching him. Otherwise, it should be Glaives. As again, there is no Forge alongside this. Gateways are on the way. Third base is being taken, as the Oracle is going to be dipping into the main. And there it is. Glaives is in production. Let's go. And it's going to be on Dark to respond. Now, I do appreciate the Dark... Oh, as the Oracle does dip in, getting a drone. Dark is getting a safety Roach Warren. This Roach Warren that's on the way is earlier than normal. Typically against a Stargate opener, you would get your Roach Warren at the 5-minute mark. This is earlier because of the Void Ray first. So Dark, as I mentioned at the start of this series, he has died to Glaive Adepts before. Like, Glaive Adepts, they have killed him many a time. So he's aware that, okay, we have to respect the Void Ray, we have to throw down the Roach Warren. The likelihood of this being Glaives it's there. There's potential. And Roaches are on the way. So a good read here from Dark. Oh, does catch the Oracle. Oh, a bit of miscontrol, mismovement there out of PartinG as the Oracle does go down. Behind this, third base getting up and running. We are just amassing Adepts here at the natural. So the way this works is that there's no robo. There's no robo, which means no prism, no way to reinforce across the map. We're just amassing Adepts here back at home instead. And we'll soon be sending them out. Now the downside, of course, if this doesn't trade well, if this doesn't get damage done, we're behind. You know, this is going to be delaying Blink, this is delaying +1, delaying robo production, delaying Immortals. All of our tech is going to be delayed here. We do have a good economy, that is true, but these Adepts, they need to get damage done. They need to trade well. Here we go, Adepts are going to be shading across the map. How many do we have? We have 15. Roaches are amassing. Adepts have been revealed. Going to be diving in towards that natural base. So far, Lings and Queens are keeping up. We do commit. We commit to the shade, and there aren't that many Lings. Lings are going to be going down. The Queens are looking a little bit exposed as well. These Roaches here on the low ground are going to be dealt with, but the Adepts in the low ground are going to be dealt with, but we have Adepts shading into the main. So far, good reactions out of Dark. I spoke too soon. A couple of drones are falling here at the third, and likewise, we take control of the main base. No mining whatsoever. Dark stuck on a 1-base economy. 41 drones here at the natural, as we have no control of the main or the third. So not a lot of drones have gone down, but I saw Dark God. I spoke too soon. As we converge here at the natural base, Worker's going to be focused down. Link's going to be going down as well. That's going to be 12 dead Workers, almost a mineral line, and we are not done. Not done at this point, as we do stick around. 13 drones to fall, we commit to the shade. We shade in towards the third base. Roaches are lying in wait, and we will clean this up. 13 dead Workers, though. Basically, a mineral line has fallen. This is kind of what we were looking for. Behind this, we're transitioning. We have Blink on the way, +1, as well as a Gateway Explosion. We have 4 gates on the way. I believe 8 gates in total. That's a lot of gates. And PartinG, he's keeping the pressure up. Interesting. So From here, typically we'd see a more tame response, getting into your 3-base saturation, into immortal production to make sure we survive against the Roach counterattack. But PartinG, instead, he avoids immortals entirely, goes for a War Prism, goes for +1, and he's being hyper aggressive here. He's pushing out. I really like this because Dark should be droning, and Dark was droning. He was resaturating his bases, he was droning up hard, so his ground army is that much smaller. His ground army is that much weaker, and he is vulnerable. Here we go, Stalker's going to be pushing on forward. These are slow roaches, +1 range, still on the way, not even halfway done. Stalker's going to be pushing in. The Void Ray is going to go down to the Queens. Void Ray does fall, but these Blink Stalkers, they're trading so well. Again, we barely had any links, we didn't remake them, we were stuck droning. And likewise, the Roach numbers are not what they need to be. A couple of Stalkers are going to get picked up. Dark, he's amassing more links. He's trying to muster up an army. He's trying to hold. Infestation Bits on the way, which is a little bit greedy here of Dark. Working on his 4th. He needs that larva. He's trying to buy some time. Files being thrown down. Once again, PartinG not really losing many of his Stalkers here. 3 Stalkers have gone down for 40 links. Oh my god. I knew a lot of links went down, but not 44. My god. And without links, these Roaches are so much more vulnerable. Expensive losses here for Dark. Roaches are going to be going down. We clear up the creep. Additional reinforcements on the way. Now with this AK Blink Stalker, PartinG is expanding. He's taking a 4th behind this. He's probing. You have +2 on the way. Ooh. Takes the blast to the face. But again, Dark, he is still up against the wall. +1 range has completed. The pure Roach Ravager. These are rough trades. Yeah, we're pushing off a creep. So many Roaches going to be going down. And we're getting on top of the Ravagers. We're getting on top of the juicy center of this army. Stalkers are being forced back, though. Oh. Barely being forced back. The Biles, they do graze the Prism, but they don't get it. And down go the Ravagers. Insane trades here for PartinG. And again, Roach Ravager just has a hard time trading against us. We need links to buffer to support, or at least a good enough economy to sustain these losses. And Dark, he doesn't have the economy. He's still on less than 3 bases. Still on 61 SCV, sorry, 61 drones. Behind this, we have Charge on the way, 2 more gates, 10 gates in total. PartinG probing up to 70. Just keeping the pressure up. And even if PartinG is forced back here, like, these have still been really good trades. Yeah, so be careful to overstay is welcome. +2 still on the way. Zealot run by heading towards the 4th base. Again, there's no saturation. There's nothing to kill other than the base itself. And that's going to be a good feeling here for PartinG. He sees the lack of saturation. Stalkers are pushing in. More Roaches going down. We dive on top of the Ravagers. Once again, they're exposed. Dark having a really hard time engaging without any creep. We have a Hydroden on the way. Infestation Pit wasn't able to make use of. Weren't able to make use of that Infestation Pit. No Hive. And again, PartinG, he has been just trading well enough. Has some decent chunk of Stalkers, but still has a massive army. You can see PartinG taking the supply lead, and not just the supply lead, bearing in mind that Dark also has inflated supply because of the Roach Ravager. Sometimes the soup does lie. It's actually even worse for Dark. Miles going to be zoning back the army. PartinG taking a 5th base behind this as well. Oh god, PartinG getting up to 80 probes. Dark's just now saturating his base, but he's not even droning. He's actually just pulling away workers because he's running out of mineral patches. Dark's still on 60. And we're just gaining too much ground. A good fungal. Very nice fungal here. Oh my god, a lot of Stalkers go down. Finally a fight kind of goes Dark's way. The Wild's even connecting. But the Zealots, they come back in. They deny any kind of mining at that 4th. The pressure is still on. A Lurker Gen is on the way. This is a bit of a Hail Mary play. Lurkers would be a good way to hold on and to stabilize, to force back the army. But it's still so far away. Getting into Lurkers and Hive. And you can see PartinG taking a massive supply lead. Dark, he's running out of units, running out of reinforcements, running out of money here. Boys are being pulled whilst they do connect. We barely have an economy. We can't afford to lose any more drones. That's going to be 18, 19 more workers going down. We dive on top of the army. We have broken through. GG gets called, and PartinG will take the series 2-0. GG. Poppy. GG, well played. PartinG coming back strong here. He's been back competing for like a month? Less than a month at this point. And comes in with the 2-0. Very aggressive styles. Both in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 1 was DTs. Game 2, Stargate Opener into Glaive Adepts. But he achieved so much damage with that memory. He killed 13 drones with those Glaive Adepts, and that set himself up for success. That is why the Stalkers did so much damage. We spoke about it. Dark was stuck re-droning and resaturating his bases. Didn't have the larva to actually have an army in time for that first push. And that Stalker timing was brutal. Was brutal there for PartinG. It gained a little momentum and never really allowed Dark any breathing room. He was never able to get comfortable, never able to get over 60 drones. I think he at most had 61. Like, that was a brutal worker count that Dark was stuck at, and it just wasn't able to get things going. GG. Impressive.